A deep silence covered the broken research dome as Officer Cale Thorne stepped inside. The air felt heavy as if the place still remembered fear. His boots pressed against cracked tiles and his flashlight cut through floating dust. He told his team to stay close, but even his voice sounded weak in the empty halls. Cale did not understand why Command sent them here. The dome had gone dark weeks ago and no one knew why. Some believed it was an accident. Some whispered that a creature escaped. But from the moment Cale entered he felt something else, something alive, something watching. As they walked deeper, a soft sound drifted through the darkness. It was small at first, like a breath or a whimper. Cale raised his hand to stop the team. The sound came again. It echoed down a long hallway, thin and shaky, almost like a cry. The team moved carefully. Broken lights flickered on the ceiling. Walls were scratched with strange marks and metal doors were bent out of shape. Something strong had moved through this place. The cry came again, this time clearer. It was not the sound of a beast. It was the sound of someone calling for help. Cale pushed open a half-broken door and stepped into a wide chamber. Cold air rushed out, carrying a faint smell of smoke and metal. The chamber was dark, but something inside moved. Cale turned on a brighter light. That was when he saw her. A young human girl sat against the wall, pale and shivering. Her name, as they later learned, was Lyra Dawn. Her legs did not move when she tried to shift. She held onto a thick metal chain with both hands, her fingers shaking. But it was what the chain was connected to that made Cale freeze. A massive dragon-like creature lay only a few steps away. Its scales were cracked and bruised. Heavy chains cut into its body. Its wings were folded tight, trembling as if from fear. Its eyes glowed faint blue, and they were filled with pain. And the creature was screaming. Not loud, not angry, its cry sounded broken, like it had been calling for help for a long time and was losing strength. Every scream echoed softly through the room, almost like a plea. Cale stepped back without thinking. The creature looked powerful enough to destroy the whole dome if it wanted. But it did not attack. It only watched the humans with tired, frightened eyes. Lyra looked up at Cale. Her voice was weak, but her words were clear. "Please, don't hurt him." Cale stared at the girl. She looked too small, too fragile, and too injured to be here alone. Yet she sat beside the creature without fear, her hand resting on its chains. "How long have you been here?" Cale asked gently. Lyra shook her head. I don't know. Days. Weeks." Her voice cracked. "But he never hurt me." Cale glanced at the dragon again. The creature's body shook with every breath. It was terrified, not hostile. The chains around it were tight, built for something dangerous. But the creature looked more like a prisoner than a monster. One of Cale's team members whispered, "How is she still alive? That thing should have killed her." Lyra heard him and pulled herself closer to the creature. "He saved me," she said. "He kept me safe when everything went wrong." Cale stepped closer, ignoring his team's warning. The dragon let out a soft cry but did not attack. Instead, it lowered its head as if trying to show it meant no harm. The girl placed her hand on the creature's muzzle. The room went silent. The dragon's breathing slowed, and its body relaxed under her touch. Cale saw something in that moment. A connection. A bond. Something that did not make sense yet felt completely real. He crouched beside Lyra, keeping his voice calm. "We're here to take you home. But we need to understand what happened. Can you tell us?" Lyra's eyes filled with fear, not for herself but for the creature. "They chained him," she whispered. "They hurt him. They tried to use him. He kept me safe, but he is still scared. If you separate us now, he will panic." Cale felt a cold wave move through him. This was no normal rescue. The girl and the dragon were connected in a way he could not explain. The creature lifted its head and met Cale's eyes. There was no hate. Only fear. Only pain. Only a silent plea to not be left alone again. Cale exhaled slowly. "We won't hurt him," he said. In that moment, something changed in the dragon's eyes. Its cry quieted like it understood his promise. But Cale also knew something else. Whatever happened in this dome was not over. And rescuing Lyra would not be simple. Because whatever force chained a dragon might still be watching them. The darkness around them felt alive again. The shadows whispered. And Cale realized this was only the beginning. Medic Aaron Soul moved quickly through the broken hallway, following the signal his scanner picked up. His team had arrived only minutes after the rescue squad reported finding a human girl and a chained dragon-like creature. Aaron had treated many strange cases before, but nothing prepared him for the sight waiting inside the chamber. The girl from the report sat near the dragon's head, her hand resting softly on its scales. She still could not move her legs, but she looked calmer now. The creature, chained and wounded, watched every person who entered with sharp, frightened eyes. Aaron stopped a few steps away. One wrong move could set off a disaster. He knelt slowly and kept his voice soft. "Can you hear me?" he asked the girl. She nodded, her eyes tired but alert. "I'm Aaron," he said. "I'm here to help you." The creature let out a low rumble, not a threat, just a warning. Aaron froze, realizing the dragon understood his presence. A tactical officer named Mira Call stepped beside him. "This thing attacked every other team that tried to get close," she whispered. "But with her, it behaves like a guardian." Aaron looked closely at the dragon's face. Its eyes moved between Mira and the girl. When the girl stroked its muzzle, the creature lowered its head, almost like a memory passed through it. Aaron spoke gently, "You two know each other." "How?" The girl hesitated. Then with a shaking voice she said, "He remembers. He remembers everything." Mira frowned. "Remembers what?" The girl glanced at the chains, then at the broken machines around them. "The people who trapped us, they tried to make him forget who he was. They tried to force him to be something else. But he remembered me." Aaron felt a shiver. The creature shifted as if understanding the girl's words. It pressed its head closer to her, letting out a soft sound that felt almost like grief. Aaron scanned the creature from a distance. Its heart rate was high, but its breathing slowed whenever the girl touched it. "He's linking to her emotionally," Aaron murmured. "Like a memory bond." Myra's eyes widened. "Memory bond? I thought that was just an old alien myth." Aaron shook his head. "Some species hold emotional memories stronger than physical ones. If she helped him during captivity, he would never forget." The girl nodded. "I talked to him when they hurt him. I told him he wasn't alone." He listened. Aaron's stomach tightened. He looked at the deep marks around the dragon's chains. Whoever held them captive treated the creature with cruelty. But instead of becoming wild, the creature turned protective. The dragon lifted its head slightly when Aaron tried to step closer. Its nostrils flared and it let out a soft growl. Mira moved her hand to her weapon, but Aaron raised his own hand, stopping her. "Don't," he whispered. "He's not attacking. He's remembering." The dragon's eyes softened, but only when the girl whispered something Aaron couldn't hear. Her voice was weak but calm, like she was reminding the creature of something peaceful. Aaron slowly lowered his scanner. "I think he remembers her kindness more than the pain." Mira shifted uncomfortably. "Then why does he react to everyone else like we're threats?" The girl answered before Aaron could. "Because everyone else sounds like them." Aaron understood. The creature was terrified of voices it didn't recognize. But the girl's voice, it was the one voice he trusted. Aaron tried once more to approach. The creature raised its head sharply. This time it didn't growl, it made a desperate, pained cry. The sound echoed across the chamber like a memory being ripped open again. The girl reached out, placing her hand on the creature's snout. Instantly the dragon quieted. Aaron stepped back. He remembers being hurt here. And he remembers her saving him. But he also remembers fear. Mira crossed her arms. "So what do we do? We can't free them with him reacting like this." Aaron looked around at the equipment still active in the room. Strange glowing screens flickered with alien symbols. One showed a heartbeat, two lines beating together in perfect sync. Aaron stepped closer to the screen and read the translated words. His breath caught. "It says the creature forms deep bonds with species that show empathy," he whispered. "It says the creature remembers voices and emotions forever." Mira blinked. "So she healed him just by talking to him?" "No," Aaron said softly. "She gave him something the alien captors couldn't break. A lasting memory." At that moment the girl tried to adjust herself. Her hand slipped from the creature's nose. The dragon reacted instantly, lifting its head and scanning the room as if danger returned. The girl quickly touched its scales again, whispering something soothing. The creature calmed immediately. Aaron realized something important. "She's the key," he said quietly. "He remembers her kindness. That memory is the only thing holding him back from panic." Mira nodded slowly. "Then we stay close to her. We move carefully." Aaron knelt again, keeping distance. "We will help both of you," he said to the girl. "But we must move slowly. One memory at a time." The dragon watched him closely. Its eyes no longer filled with fear, but with something different. Recognition. Remembered the girl. It remembered her voice. And it remembered her as the only safe part of a world that once heard it. Aaron knew then that this bond was deeper than survival. It was a memory that refused to fade. Investigator Darren Holt stepped into the ruined control room with a slow breath. His scanner blinked with weak signals, picking up old data left behind by the alien scientists who once ran this dome. Dust covered every surface and pieces of broken glass crunched under his boots. The air felt cold, almost like the room still remembered the things done inside it. Darren had seen many strange cases, but something about this place felt wrong. The machines were shattered, yet some screens glowed with faint symbols. The messages were old but not dead. Someone, or something, wanted them to be found. He moved toward the main console and tapped the cracked display. Strange alien letters appeared, shifting slowly into readable language. Behind him, Officer Lisa Brent stood guard near the doorway, her weapon ready. "Darren, we don't have much time," she said. "The creature is unstable. The girl is weak. We need answers fast." "I'm trying," Darren replied quietly. "But this tech, it's deeper than anything I've seen." The screen suddenly flickered, showing two glowing heartbeats moving in sync. Lisa frowned. "Is that the girl and the dragon?" Darren nodded. "It must be. Their readings match perfectly. Like they're connected." He tapped another panel and a series of old recordings started to play. Alien voices spoke in a cold, emotionless tone. Darren listened carefully. The humans show rare empathy. The dragons respond to it. The heart link is real. Darren frowned. "Heart link? That's impossible." Lisa shifted uneasily. "What does it mean?" The next recording answered. "If a human shows kindness to a dragon in distress, the dragon forms a deep emotional connection. Breaking the bond too early may lead to panic, rage, or collapse." Darren felt his heart race. This is the hidden danger. If we separate them now, the creature could become unstable. Lisa took a step forward. "But we can't leave them chained together forever." "That's not the problem," Darren said. "The problem is how the aliens use them." He opened another file. More text filled the screen. "Dragon memory is emotional. They remember fear. They remember kindness. They remember who saved them." Darren closed his eyes for a moment. The creature didn't just remember the girl, it depended on her voice to stay calm. Without that connection, the dragon could break under its own fear. Lisa lowered her weapon slightly. So the girl didn't just survive. She changed him. The room suddenly shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The dragon's cry echoed faintly from the chamber down the hall. It sounded louder than before, sharper. Something had startled him. Lisa turned. "That doesn't sound good." "Come on," Darren said. "We need to move." Before they could leave, another console lit up behind them. A bright warning symbol flashed red. Darren leaned close to read it. "If the bond deepens, the human becomes the dragon's emotional anchor. Removing the anchor may cause the creature to lose control." Lisa's face paled. "So the girl is the anchor?" "Yes. She's holding him together without even knowing it." Darren tapped the console again. More data appeared. Maps of the dome, scribbled notes, and a final message written in urgent, shaky symbols. "Protect the bond. Do not break it. The dragon's heart remembers what the mind forgets." A chill ran through Darren. "This isn't research," he whispered. "This is a warning." Before Lisa could respond, a faint humming sound filled the room. Something activated beneath the floor. Lights flickered one by one, forming a glowing path across the control room ground. "What is that?" Lisa asked. Darren stepped back. "It's reacting to the bond. The girl and the dragon must have moved closer. Their connection is reaching the old system." The glowing path brightened and then formed a strange symbol, two shapes intertwined, pulsing like breathing. "Heart link," Darren whispered. Suddenly the room shook again, harder this time. A frightened roar echoed through the dome. Lisa pulled Darren toward the exit. "He's scared," Darren said. "Something's happening out there." They rushed down the hallway. When they reached the chamber, they saw medic teams standing back in fear. The dragon was pulling hard against his chains, eyes wide and frantic. Sparks flew as metal scraped stone. The girl, still weak, reached her hand toward him. A new medic, Raul Soren, tried to calm everyone. "Don't move too fast. Let her reach him." But the dragon cried again, deep, painful, like memories were crashing inside its mind. Lyra stretched her arm toward him, but she was too far. Darren understood immediately. The dragon wasn't reacting to danger. It was reacting to separation. "Move her closer," Darren ordered. "That's the warning. The bond is too deep." Raul and another medic gently lifted the girl and carried her toward the creature. The moment her fingers touched its scales, The dragon collapsed to the ground, shaking with relief. His breathing slowed. Its eyes softened. Everyone stepped back in shock. Darren exhaled. That was it. The warning was real. If they're separated in the wrong moment, his mind breaks. Lisa looked at the glowing symbols on the chamber walls. So what now? Darren stared at the girl and the dragon, two prisoners who somehow saved each other. We don't break the bond, he said softly. We follow it. But deep inside Darren felt something else, an uneasy thought he couldn't shake. This bond could calm a dragon. What else could it awaken? The ground shook again, harder than before, and Reed felt his heartbeat jump. The sky above the valley turned dark red, like a warning painted across the clouds. He looked at Talia, and she already knew what he was thinking. Something was coming, and it was coming fast. Reed grabbed the small metal disc they had found earlier. The strange marks on it were still glowing faintly. He did not understand them, but he felt they were connected to the danger ahead. Talia checked the old scanner she kept in her bag. The device buzzed and blinked with unstable lights, showing shapes moving on the edge of the valley. Shapes that did not look human. They had only minutes. Reed and Talia ran back to the camp, where a few families had gathered around weak fires. People looked tired, frightened, and unsure. When Reed shouted that danger was coming, the camp broke into panic. Some started grabbing their bags. Others froze, unsure what to believe. Reed raised his hands and spoke loudly, trying to calm them. He pointed at the sky as a loud crack echoed across the valley. A bright red streak shot downward like a falling star, then exploded far away with a deep boom. That was enough for everyone to trust him now. People began to move. Talia went from person to person, helping the children and the elderly. Reed checked the cliff path behind the camp. If they moved fast, they could escape through the narrow pass before whatever was coming reached them. But the ground vibrated again, and this time flames rose on the horizon. They had no more time. The fire did not look normal. It rose in straight lines, forming strange patterns. Reed realized it was not fire from nature. It was controlled. It was hunting. He grabbed Talia's hand and pulled her toward the path. But halfway there, the disc in his pocket grew warm, too warm. He took it out and saw the symbols glowing bright red. The metal began to pulse like a heartbeat. Talia stared at it, confused but scared. "Throw it away," she said. Reed almost did. But something in him felt he should not. Instead, he held it tighter. The fire shapes moved faster. They were like tall figures made of burning metal. They stepped through the valley with heavy, booming strides. Their bodies shined bright like molten steel, and their eyes glowed like deep coals. The camp screamed and scattered. Reed and Talia ran up the path with the others, but one of the fire creatures turned toward them. It began to follow, each step leaving the ground blackened and smoking. Reed knew they could not outrun it. Then the disc in his hand flashed white. A sharp sound cut through the air, and suddenly a wave of cool wind burst out from the disc. The flames around them pulled back. The fire creature stopped mid-step, its body shaking as if confused. Reed felt something strange. Like the disc was not just an object. It was reacting to something inside him. Talia looked at him with wide eyes. "Reed, I think it knows you." The fire creature let out a low, echoing roar and then began to charge again, faster this time. Reed stepped back, unsure what to do. The disc glowed white again, brighter than before, and this time the creature froze completely. Its flames dimmed, turning from red to dull orange. The creature looked at Reed and bowed its head. Talia gasped. Reed could not move. The creature slowly lifted one arm and pointed to the far mountains, where more red lights began to bloom in the night sky. The creature's voice rumbled like thunder, but only one word formed in Reed's mind. "Run." Then the creature collapsed into sparks and vanished. Reed and Talia stared at each other, breathing hard. The night around them was still on fire. More creatures, many more, were coming. But now they knew one thing. Reed was connected to the disc. And the disc was giving him a warning. He closed his fingers around it, feeling its steady pulse. It was waiting for him to act. The mountains in the distance glowed red as the coming danger moved closer. Reed took a deep breath. The night of fire had begun. And he knew it was not going to stop until he understood the truth behind the glowing disc in his hand. Reed felt the heat of the burning valley behind him as he and Talia reached the higher ridge. The people who escaped stood in a tight group, breathing fast, watching the red lights spread like moving stars across the land. Children cried, elders trembled, and no one knew what to do next. Reed held the glowing disc close to his chest, unsure why it had chosen him, but certain now that it had. Talia stood beside him, her face dirty from smoke but her eyes sharp. She watched the disc pulsing softly. "It reacts to you," she said. "It listens to you." Reed wished he understood why. The fire creature that bowed before him before fading into sparks replayed in his mind. That moment felt impossible. Yet it happened. And now more fire creatures were coming. The disc warmed again and Reed felt a soft shock run through his arm. Not painful, more like a whisper. A whisper telling him to move, to go forward, not backward. He looked at the frightened group behind him. If they stayed here they would be found. If they ran into the mountains without a plan they would be lost. He needed answers. He needed to understand the power the disc held. "Talia, it wants us to go east," he said quietly. She stared at him. "How do you know?" "I don't know how. I just feel it." Talia nodded, because at this point trusting Reed made more sense than trusting the unknown flames behind them. Reed stepped ahead, leading the group toward the eastern cliff path. The night sky brightened again as another wave of fire creatures entered the valley. The people hurried, pushed by fear and hope mixed together. As they moved, Reed felt the disc pulse faster. The pulses matched his heartbeat as if syncing with him. He did not realize it, but his steps grew stronger, his breathing calmer. He felt the world more clearly. He felt danger before he saw it. After half an hour of climbing, they reached an open flat area between two stone walls. The wind was cold here and the sky clearer. Reed suddenly stopped. The disc in his hand glowed bright blue for the first time. Blue meant something different. He held it up. A thin blue line of light extended from the disc and pointed toward a small cave in the rocks. Talia gasped softly. Reed felt a pull inside his chest, urging him to follow. They entered the cave carefully. Inside the air was warm and calm. The walls were covered in marks, symbols like those on the disc. Reed touched one symbol and it glowed. Then another lit up. Soon the whole cave filled with soft blue light. In the center of the cave was a round stone table. On it lay another disc, larger, older, cracked in the center. Reed approached it slowly. When he placed his disc near the broken one, both began to hum. A beam of light connected them and suddenly the cave shook. A projection formed in the air, an image of tall beings made of light and stone. Their eyes were peaceful, their hands open. Reed felt their thoughts enter his mind. They were not speaking in words, but he understood. Long ago they created guardians, the fire creatures, to protect worlds. But something went wrong. The guardians lost control. They turned dangerous. Their creators tried to stop them but failed. Before disappearing they made one last hope, a bond device. A disc that could connect with a living being and guide the guardians back to their purpose. Reed was that bond. The projection faded and the broken disc turned to dust. Reed stepped back, shaking. He finally understood. The fire creature that bowed to him did so because it recognized him, not as an enemy but as its guide. Talia looked at him. "Reed, you can stop them." "No," he said softly. "Not stop them. Lead them." Outside, the ground trembled again. The fire creatures had reached the cliff. People screamed. Reed ran out of the cave with the disc glowing bright white. The first fire creature appeared, towering and burning hot. People backed away terrified. But Reed stepped forward. The creature raised its arm to strike. Reed lifted the disc. The disc flashed. The creature froze. Its flames calmed. Its body dimmed from red to soft orange. Then slowly it knelt. Another creature appeared, then another. All of them stopped when they saw Reed. All of them bent down, recognizing the bond. The people watched in shock. Talia smiled through tears. Reed felt the disc pulse warmly. The bond was complete. The night of fire ended not with war, but with understanding. Reed stood tall as the creatures waited for his command. He knew the path would not be easy and he still had much to learn. But for the first time he did not feel fear. He felt purpose. The bond between him and the Guardians had changed everything. And now he was ready to guide them into a new future. One where humans and Guardians would no longer run from each other, but learn to stand together.